Hogstye.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the Hogstye. This is Alex with you. We got the full crew, Jamal, Rob, and Steve. Guys, I put together a great agenda on Thursday afternoon. I was all ready and excited for it, and then Friday at 6:30 something happened that kind of changed it. It got blown to hell. But before we get to our big story of the week, there's another thing we wanted to give Robert a chance to touch on, and that's a story out of your alma mater, TCU, regarding your former head coach. So, Rob, I'm just going to let you kind of have the floor and talk about what happened and, your thoughts on everything.
Well, a student athlete, a football player, posted that Gary Patterson used the N-word towards him, and I was in that program for 5 years, and Gary Patterson absolutely despises any racial epithet. Like, he will punish you if you say any of those words.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's running, by punish I mean running, I mean extra lifting, I mean just extra physical activity. So you get it through your head that word is not allowed in that program. And in 5 years of being around this man, in good moments and bad moments, and I bump heads with him plenty of times. I've cursed at him. He's cursed at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said the N word in his presence, and he never even come close to saying it back to any player that I know. He's never repeated it. He's never even come close to repeating it. So I felt the need to step up and say that I support him because I've never, ever heard him use it. Even if he's trying to make an example of anything or anybody, I've never heard that man use that word. So those reports, or that report, was really disheartening to see. And I text Coach P and told him, like, look, you've raised and you've nurtured many young African American men, and I've never heard you use those words, and you've treated all of us like sons. And between me and former alumni, text between me and other alumni, um, all we're all in support, and we've all said the same thing. Like, we've never heard Gary Patterson use that word, whether he was trying to make an example or anything. We've never heard it. So we all just text him and let him know, like, we got your back and we stand with you through this. And although the racial climate is high these days, and everybody wants to make news and call everything racism or whatever the case may be, or try to damage people's careers and all that through those things. You want to be sensitive to what that player is saying, but you also know the character of the guy. Like, I know him. He was there for me when I went through my divorce. He helped me when I didn't have anybody on my side. And him and his wife always treated all of us like sons. So I just wanted to put that out there and make it clear that I've never experienced that. And I mean, hundreds of young black men who've been through that program have never experienced that. So for one person to come out and say this, it was really,
Mm.
Did Patterson respond to you with something that you'd like to share publicly?
Well, no, I basically told him, like, look, coach, I got your back, and what happened really upsets me. If it did happen, and if you say you didn't say it,
Mm.
then I'll take your word for it, honestly. And he was like, and he told me that, he loved me, and that no matter what, like, he's excited and blessed that he got the opportunity to coach so many of us and nurture so many of us, and basically he loved me back. So I mean, his wife posted something on Facebook, and I messaged her, and she pretty much echoed what he said. So
And he's been there for a long time, obviously, because I mean, you've been out of college for quite a while.
Yeah, right.
And so that I mean, that in itself is a rarity. You don't see many coaches who are with one program. I think he's been there 20 years or something. I was looking at
Yep,
his
and
bio before we
and
talked.
that's another thing that I was saying. All those years, never an incident,
Right.
never even close to an incident. So one player, first of all, the first thing that struck me is that player said that he was guaranteed playing time. That's not even in Coach Patterson's wheelhouse to
Mm.
say that. He's like he never does that because he's always judged you off what you did on the field and who you were off the field. And by who you were off the field, I mean, did you go to class? Did you do the things that you were supposed to do? You're not going to play if you don't.
Mm.
If you keep saying the N word in that program, you're not going to play. You're going to get punished. So I don't know, man. It's hard because you want to be empathetic and sympathetic to the player, but
Sure.
I've known this man for a long time, and he's like a father to me. And I've never heard him say. And I got all kind of hate on social media, calling me a Uncle Tom and all that other stuff, and
That's Twitter for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
posting Samuel L. from Django and all that stuff. I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't care. I know him. I like that man has been nothing but great to many, many young African American men.
Mm. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
I know the trainer actually. That it's somebody you probably know, Rob, but he was the trainer at TCU in college, and he always had great things to say about the
The
program
head
and
trainer,
all of that.
David.
No. He was a trainer. He was a student who was in the training program, physical training program in college. His first name was Scott. I don't want to say his last name,
I
and
know you're
I don't
talking
know
about.
if he.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't know if he was there when he was already gone when you were there or what, but he always had great things to say about the program.
well, I mean, look, in my mind, if your worst argument is the coach told me not to say this word and then he said the word while telling me not to say this word, it's not like you're a white dude. Every white dude knows we're not supposed to say that word. But if that's his worst slip up, in 20 years, I don't think that's a big slip up.
Well, look, personally, I mean, I'll take the word of the guy who played with him and knows him
Absolutely,
more
too.
than some random 20-year-old college kid,
Sure.
know.
There's that too.
Yeah, and I don't even want to. Like I swear I tried to hold my tongue, but I guess we're in the business of getting opinions. But I don't even want to like make a bad case for the guy who tweeted it. But it's at the same time, it's like I've seen what people like Rob. This is the first time I heard what Rob had to say, but I've seen people who responded to the guy say I heard what they said, and it's basically echoing the same thing. And also like what Alex said, I've seen people say, well, did he call you it or did he tell you not to say it?
Right.
And they're trying to distinguish the difference, like, because it is a big difference, but at the same time, we know like it's not that hard not to say it. But at the same time, you don't, even if he did make that one slip up and he made that, and that was one slip up over a 20-year period, however long he's been there, you got to understand, like, you can't crucify. I wouldn't even crucify a man for that, but I would be like, hey, coach, like, hey, come on, like, be aware of what you just said, type deal. But it's not, if it's one incident over that entire period, we can't even account for that. We don't know him, and
No.
people on Twitter not even gonna know him, and that's the mistake that people are making, and it's unfortunate, and it's something that obviously we can talk about because Rob is close to, not literally close to the situation, but he knows Coach P, so.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to see people take it the way they did, and they don't even know him.
I just
Yeah.
generally don't like what's going on in society today, which is let's crucify everybody for everything.
On
Yeah.
social.
I just don't like that.
but not take a hard look at ourselves or
Right.
who's running the country. Like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I feel like it's not that's one of the main things I was getting at with the player too. I was like, it's really like he kind of distinguished it himself too, and he still tweeted it. I'm like, but did you really think it was worth it? Because you also mentioned playing time.
Right.
Like you're already setting the conditions of the issue, and that's not even fair to coach, because basically you just said, you said playing factor was an issue, and now on top of that, he lied to me, and he's saying the N-word in my presence.
Yeah.
And you want people to know that.
I think that there's an element of this And I think we all are old enough to remember that, when you were a younger person and social media wasn't really a thing, if something like this happened and it was a problem, you would just go to your coach and talk about it, or go to your teacher and talk about it. If it was whoever was the authority figure, you would just talk to them. Even as a 18-year-old, 19-year-old, that was a normal way to act in such a situation. And now it's let me post it on Twitter instead of, doing something about it.
Yeah, I'm also going to take a shot in the dark here and assume that Rob and Jamal have legitimately been called the N-word at some point in their lives by people who meant it in a malicious way. Yeah, and I think
Steve, I've been called the N-word in a malicious way in my lifetime.
Well, yeah, you're as white a guy as I've ever known.
Yeah, it just happened.
But there's I think everybody's smart enough to understand when it's meant maliciously and when there's, even if there was a slip up by Patterson.
Well, and that's what kills me is this is clearly him saying, "Don't say this word." Like, even this guy, that's the guy's.
Remember,
right.
I mean, he's denied it, but yeah.
I'm saying that's the guy's argument is he told me not to say this word and said, "All right."
Yeah, like I said, he despises that word. He despises people who act like that. I've seen him call out white players on our team for acting in such a way. Like, for instance, there was this one situation in college where these three white players were part of a fraternity, and one of those white players invited us to a party that fraternity was having. We got there, and all of them basically turned on us, like, calling us all kind of names, get your black ass out of here, the N-word, like all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And two of those players on our team joined in doing so.
Oh, so, that ain't good.
Imagine it's TCU, it's predominantly white, but and he disciplined those players, and one got kicked off the team.
That's what you got to do, man.
We're not having that. We're not building that, because on the field, you're going to have to depend on each other. And when you graduate, you're going to have to depend on each other. That's what he's always preached. Like, no matter which color you are, no matter what your background is, no matter how much money your parents had, when you're done here, you never know who you're going to need. Don't burn those bridges.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I think we got to move on to some Redskins stuff at this point because we're already about 10 minutes in.
Yep.
But, Rob, I hope that it does work out for Coach P there. Because it sounds like from what you've said, he is a good guy. All right, so let's get to the big Redskins topic that none of us kind of saw coming, or at least I don't think any of us saw this coming. Darius Geis at 6:30 last night, Friday night, turns himself into the police. He is under arrest, 3 charges of domestic violence, and within about 40 minutes, the Washington football team, I almost said it, I almost pulled a Brandon Scherf, the Washington football team released guys from the roster. So I don't think any of us saw this coming. Kind of a wild card, but let's just dive right into it, man. This is nuts.
I have tried to dig up some facts on this case. I would like to make a plea for anybody who commits a crime and gets arrested. Please do it early in the day, not late in the evening on Friday when I can't get through to the right people.
Don't do it on at what is it called, the news cycle dump day?
Yeah, if you're gonna do it at 9 o'clock in the morning, so I have a full day.
And do it on like a Tuesday.
Figure it out. But anyway, yeah, I couldn't dig up any facts. I called the Loudoun County Sheriffs. I dug through the court records, and it was just too late on the day on Friday. So we don't know anything about the facts whatsoever, zero. I do think that the Washington's statement that they put out, the press release, made it clear, if you read between the lines, that they know a lot more about the facts than just this dude got arrested for some domestic violence charge. It was like some argument with a girlfriend or whatever. It's more than that, because the team kind of made it clear that they learned some stuff that they really didn't like. And I would like to think that the team would probably stick by a player at least for more than an hour if upon an arrest, unless they really knew what was bad. And an example I'll throw out there is the Patriots with Aaron Hernandez. They took one whiff of that and got rid of him immediately, like within a couple hours. Sure. Whereas, there's like a DUI arrest or whatever, they'll stick with the player. They might have to live with him being on the exempt list or whatever, but they'll stick with him. But this was like, we're done and you're out, period. And so
Right.
it really made me think that whatever the fact pattern is, and I don't have a clue again because I couldn't find it, but it made me think that it's much more serious than just like it was an argument and he slapped somebody, something like
Right.
that.
Well, let's go over some of the facts that have been put out there. One, we know there's three incidents in 2 counties, one in Maryland, one in Virginia. I don't know about the third one. We know that each of these incidents, starting on Valentine's Day, February 14th, are about a month apart. So those are the 2 big facts that we have right off the bat. I don't think that we saw there was a press release put out by the team. We saw a press release put out by Geis's lawyer, who's one of these celebrity hotshot lawyers that you get from time to time. But that's really all I've seen so far.
I would just, it's just really sad more than anything.
Yeah, of course.
The whole thing is sad. I mean, Darius Geis, for those of you who don't know, has a really awful story of him growing up. His father was murdered. His brother got accused of murder, second-degree murder, and as far as I know, is still in jail. He grew up under really awful circumstances, and he's very charismatic, and everybody kind of thought that he broke out of that cycle and to make something great of his life and use this athletic ability, which is what we all hope happens, for people who grow up in negative circumstances. And then this happened, drops out of the blue. It just goes to show that, maybe we don't really know people unless you know them.
Yeah.
Very sad to see the whole thing. And I hope whoever his alleged victims are, if the whole thing is true, are okay.
Yeah, I think that we should always make sure that's paramount in any case like this. Is if there is a victim and it's a true thing, then that's the person who takes precedent.
I'm not the lawyer here, obviously Steve is, but the fact that they didn't seek a statement from him and wanted and had a warrant for him, means that it had to be pretty serious.
Sure.
And the proof was already there.
That tells me they have video, photographs, physical evidence. Yeah, that normally you would. There's no. One of the things his lawyer said was, my client's denied his due process. They didn't even interview him, and I get it. I would have said the same thing if I defended him, but they don't have an obligation to. And if they felt the evidence was slam dunk enough, they don't even need to talk to him. Just get a warrant for him immediately. Yeah, there's some bad physical evidence out there. Would be my guess.
I hate to see it. I feel bad for the victims. This type of thing is never okay, in my opinion. And football obviously comes second, or doesn't even stand in the same stratosphere as this situation, as domestic violence or whatever. But I actually like how quickly Washington reacted.
Yes.
I think I can appreciate that, because to me that says something's changed here. I was personally rooting for Geis to have a great season and a bounce back and be this all-world talent. But more importantly, we all want the culture to change there, and we all want one single football mind in charge. And that, in this situation, showed me that was Ron Rivera, and it was clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Steve said, we would have hung on to players, or we would have given them second, third, fourth chances, or allowed to do the legal process to take place. But coming out as swiftly as Ron did, I like it because it makes a statement. I don't care how good you are, or what your when you were drafted, or I don't care about anything about football. Like, you do the wrong thing off the field, you're not going to be a part of this organization. So just holding guys to that high standard as a former player, if you're held to such a high standard, you're going to watch everything that you do, and most likely you're not going to do those things. You're going to buy in. You're either going to buy in or you're going to be gone. So, I think that speaks volume.
Interestingly, it kind of ties into what you were just talking about with your experience in college there, Robert. You played for a coach who had this very high standard, and, it does impact you. So you kind of got to wonder what was going on here the whole time with Geis, or what even happened to him in college.
And for me, with just in general, I don't. Truth be told, I struggle with this, but I don't feel too bad for Geis at all. Like it's because I think one of the things, and you guys already spoke on it. One of the things that we need to pay attention to is like at least hear the victims because we don't know the facts yet, but hear the victim.
Mhm.
And for you to put yourself in that situation is like it's literally that's only by circumstance of you. Like you put yourself in that situation. So even if you were innocent, you could have separated yourself. This is similar to Reuben Foster. Like some people, but I don't know. I can't even remember anything that happened 2 years ago. I'm sorry, but if
It's
like
all
the,
right.
the conversation that took place back then was if you were innocent, why do you keep dealing with the same woman? So you got to get yourself away from that situation if you were innocent. So like it's not it's I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad for Geis. And if things are heavy in terms of evidence against him, then obviously, like he put himself in that situation. He was aware of his circumstances. He was aware of the fact that, this is a chance that only very few percent of college athletes get. He was aware of all these type of things. And it's hard for me to sit here now after I thought about it and really say that, this is a sad situation for him. Like he was aware. He made that break. He got himself into the league. All he had to do was work on his recovery in terms of injury related, and he had to try and show out on the field. I was looking forward to the player that he was supposed to be, and I was looking forward to the player who was possibly finally about to be healthy and have a new lease on life as it relates to playing on the field. And this happens. So yeah, it's a tough situation. But I can't feel bad for a player like him. He had everything going for him, and they still stuck by him after the 2 seasons where he was just riddled with injuries.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for him. I mean, I think generally it's a sad situation that you see talent wasted like this. But I've said this before, but for the benefit of those of you who are new, I did prosecute for a couple of years, and I can tell you, I'm not a career prosecutor, but I did do it for a while, and I can tell you that the police almost never get it so completely wrong that they just arrest somebody who's totally innocent. You may not be guilty pursuant to legal standards and beyond a reasonable doubt, and your rights may have been violated, a whole other thing, but it's very rare. I only remember one case where the guy just flat out didn't do it, and that was only because they arrested John Smith Sr. instead of John Smith Jr. Okay, so the odds are overwhelming that there is some basis of truth in whatever the allegations are, and there's a difference between the standard the state has to prove to throw you in prison and the standard the team needs to throw you off the team.
Right.
And the standard the team needs is zero. They owe you nothing. You have no due process right. That's the problem with the lawyer statement. The lawyer says, well, the team, ignored him and didn't, give him due process and it wasn't fair. And well, they don't owe you anything, dude.
Yeah.
Nothing. The player contract says they can cut you for almost any reason at all. The only thing they couldn't cut you for is like for a breach of like the 7 protected classes. They couldn't cut like every Samoan, because that's racist. But beyond that, they could cut you because they just don't like you.
I would never cut every Samoan. That's like all you're good to linemen,
I just that came off the top of my head.
Yeah, I know.
That's the only type of thing that they can't cut you for. So it doesn't matter that they didn't talk to you. They just don't want to deal with your nonsense. Period. That's it.
Yeah.
Good luck. That's it.
Steve, if I'm not mistaken, didn't she represent the DC Sniper or something like that? It was something terrible.
Somebody
know.
said that online.
Yeah, I thought I saw that about this lawyer. Yeah.
I didn't research the person. I don't know. And the other thing that occurred to me is that I think this kind of bodes well for Reuben Foster. The reason I say that is that I read the linebacker coach Steve Russ's comments. I actually wrote a post about this because it stuck out. Steve Russ praised Reuben Foster. I mean, really praised him in his pressers this week. The team cut Monte Nicholson. They've gotten rid of 2 troublemakers and kept one, and Reuben Foster was a troublemaker,
right?
And they kept him and they praised him. So it makes me think that Reuben might have gotten his act together, and kind of changed, because I think Ron Rivera, if he's proven anything, it's that you're just going to be gone and he's not going to, deal with nonsense.
Yeah.
And it really makes me wonder if Reuben Foster has gotten his act together and has become a productive person.
Well, one thing that sticks out to me that I pretty much figured was going to happen once Thomas Davis came in, he was going to be paired with Reuben. They're just too similar of a person and personality, just on the field wise, for them not to kind of click. And my whole thinking when Thomas Davis came in was just for that fact alone, to pretty much grow up that linebacker core.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much the reason he's here. I mean, obviously he can still play, but that he's a Ron guy, and he was going to set the culture from that standpoint.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that. But in terms of guys, I mean, we'll learn more about the facts. I will continue to dig it up as we go.
Fill out a FOIA?
Yeah, I did fill out a FOIA. I would assume
Okay.
they're going to deny it, but I did do a FOIA.
Yeah.
Steve loves doing FOIAs.
I've done it for a bunch
I'm not going to say much, but we ignore them as long as we can.
Yes.
Listen, I ignored. I used to get when I was in the military. I got FOIAs, and my general tact on FOIAs was to deny everything I could, just because.
I think so all four of us have now, in various capacities, worked for government agencies.
True.
Let's say. I think every government agency secretly has that rule.
Yeah.
I just felt obligated as the editor of the Hogsty to fill out a FOIA, knowing it was going to be a waste of my time. But in terms of the football aspect of this, to me, it's, will the real Bryce Love please stand up?
Yeah.
This is a perfect opportunity for this dude to prove that he's a legit starter. His knee is back. He has a great opportunity here to succeed Adrian Peterson, who now is the clear undisputed number one back on this team again. To me, this is
I'm Bryce. Keeps coming up.
To me, if I'm Bryce Love, the person whatever his relationship with guys is aside, I'm excited about from the on-field perspective that he may be able to resurrect his career.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Guys, I will say this one thing before we move on.
Sure.
I would not be surprised to see I wouldn't call him a high tier, but a pretty big name running back free agent signed.
Yeah, the problem is we're so late in the year.
In mind that you're just not wanting to say?
I do not have a specific name in mind. If I did, I would tell you.
Mm.
But I'm thinking that they're probably going to find somebody.
I would say, do you have any old buddies or anything but running back is such a short lifespan that anybody you may have played with, a lot of them are starting to retire.
They're done.
Yeah.
I mean, Devontae Freeman, Lamar Miller, somebody in that realm. I'm telling you, it is a big possibility that it could happen.
I don't think that's crazy now. We need more weapons on offense because we've just lost two names from that young core for very different reasons, obviously. But we should move on. I think we all.
Before I forget, before you do real fast,
all right.
What Geis's cut is going to mean in round numbers is about $500,000 savings on the cap hit. Once
it's not much.
Rule of 51 under account. Yeah,
not much.
Once you take the rule and rule of 51 under consideration, it'll be about $500,000 or so. But go ahead.
Yeah. I think we all agree that one of the more impressive parts of this is how quickly the team reacted. The new front office run by Ron Rivera, but. It's kind of segues in a way to our next topic because one of the new people who's kind of high up in this organization recently is Juliana Donaldson, who replaced Larry Michael after his controversy. And she's now running all things media and PR, and she says that she's in all these high up meetings with Rivera and the senior management. So I'm guessing that she was involved in this too. And it segues in because the team's new media and their online presence and all this kind of stuff they're doing with COVID and training camp and trying to adjust how they're covering things has been really noticeable to me on Twitter and Facebook and just whatever social media platforms they're on. And they've put out some releases of they're going to do new programs. They're doing stuff online right now every day for training camp. They're doing a morning show and a post-camp show where it's Donaldson and Santana Moss kind of recapping some stuff that happened, interviewing players and things like that. And is it just me as somebody who's an AV nerd who's picked up on all this, or are you guys seeing it too? I guess that would be my first question.
What, seeing
a new effort by the team for a better online presence and doing better media work.
You can't deny it. It's out there. They saying look at us. That's what they saying with every tweet.
Yeah.
But no, I like it. One of the things that kind of intrigues me. I wish I had it in front of me, but it's this list of Redskins series.
I have the list in front of me. If you want me to go through the new shows.
Yeah. So they have the list of shows that they're putting out there. a series of shows, and it gives you insight to every angle of the team and in unique ways. And that's a good thing that I don't know, I can't tell you all 31 other teams. I can't tell you what they do in the social media realm, but the fact that you're thinking of this outside of the box way to give fans access, especially in a time like this where you don't even see, like, we're, what is it, August 8th? We're probably like 3 weeks into training camp, and in a regular way, we're 3 weeks into training camp, and this year you don't have any type of football, you don't have any type of videos, the one-on-ones, none of that stuff. So
right.
just for this type of year, and to be doing that for the team and the fan base, we're gonna be eating it up.
Yeah,
it's a perfect year to get this type of thing going. And Julie's doing a great job so far.
She is, and it's not just the shows. She actually interacts with people on social media. I've noticed. Like,
Yes.
I don't know if you guys picked up on this, because why would you? But one of our writers put out something probably 2 weeks ago saying the Redskins need to do online training camp stuff, and she responded to him. He put me in the tweet. He put the Hogstye in the tweet. So she responded directly to him saying, yeah, we're going to do this. And, there was like a little back and forth. You would never in a million years see that with Larry Michael.
And our listeners are now well versed in that because you told the same story last week.
Yes, I know. But
well, Larry was a dinosaur.
Yes.
So I wouldn't expect him to be well versed in the social media aspect of it, or for that to be high on his list. But it's almost like this is a perfect opportunity for them to rebrand themselves and to be and to attract a new fan base, or
right,
a younger fan base. So they're taking all the right steps in doing that, and in turn they are ingratiating themselves with the older fan base, or the core fan base. So all this is positive, and you hate to see news like we just talked about,
right?
Kind of
overshadowing
it, temporarily overshadowing, because I don't think this is going to be a big thing long anyway.
No, with how quickly they reacted, I don't think so. Let me. Steve, you want to go?
Okay, yeah. So this new show that Alex was talking about is called Unfiltered, and it's going to be a weekly thing. And the best I can understand this is that there will be various episodes or
segments or something,
media segments put out each week under the Unfiltered label. They listed 7 different areas. We got a press release on this.
Yeah.
One of them is the game, called the game. That'll be X's and O's.
I'm excited for that one.
One is called the Park, which is going to be well-known Washington fans narrating stuff about Redskins Park and kind of behind the scenes at the team facility, that kind of thing. That's interesting. Another one is going to be called The Lab, which is going to be about Madden. That interests me not at all, but I know a lot of people love that kind of thing.
Right.
One's going to be called The Life, which is going to be the game. It says the lighter side of the game through the lens of pop culture, which I'm not 100% sure really what that means, but that's another one that will involve fans to a certain extent or another. There's one on fashion called The Fit. That also interests me not at all, but again, a lot of people love that. The Legacy is a John Riggins show. It's John Riggins and a bunch of Redskins legends.
Right. John, who just turned 71, by the way, and he still could probably...
Wait.
Yeah.
So it's John Riggins. Is he hosting?
Yes, John Riggins is the host.
Count me out.
30-minute show featuring Hall of Famer and Super Bowl champion John Riggins alongside a cast of rotating legends trading stories from the field. And then the last one is something called The Beat, which will feature local reporters against each other. And just Redskins, if you're listening, we would like to do one of those segments. So
what I'm not sure about is The Beat. Like, are the reporters competing against each other in like feats of strength?
Is it like a boxing match, maybe?
I'll take John Keim in most of the boxing matches.
I would like that.
That'd be fun, yeah.
All right, wait. So explain the last concept again. I missed it. You said the beat reporters are what?
Well, it's called The Beat. And what the material they put out said, this half hour will pit local reporters against each other as they discuss their views on the team, the NFL as a whole.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I think, what's the Wilbon and Kornheiser show?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Just a rundown.
the outside the lines thing where everybody
Yeah,
is
that's
around the
it.
table
Yeah,
talking?
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, that's
Okay.
what it sounds
I
like.
think that's the concept.
And
Okay.
I
That's
mean,
nice.
look, I don't think all these shows are designed for everybody. That's
No.
like of those ones we listed, there's two I really would watch, and maybe one I wouldn't. Or actually more than one I wouldn't. Probably two I
Yeah,
wouldn't for
I
sure,
don't
and
care
maybe
about
I'd
Mad Men.
check
I
in
don't care about
on.
fashion.
Yeah, I
So what? But a lot of people do.
right. As
But
much as I'm a uniform nerd, I
here's
don't care about fashion, so I'm not going to watch that.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
but
they're
here's the
trying to
thing
they're
though.
trying to bring in a younger fan base with that.
Yeah.
I get it. I
Yep.
get
Yep.
that,
Yep.
and
That's
you
exactly
know,
what I was getting at. They're trying to appeal to every single
mhm.
fan base or every single age group and angle, everything that they can appeal to. They're trying to attack that with this series, the
Right.
That's
seven
good.
series.
That's good, and I applaud it. You know, it
Yeah.
doesn't. Not everything has to appeal to everybody else. The one thing I didn't like at all, I didn't really need to see the video of the team taking down the Redskins logo.
Yeah.
Redskins, that bothered me. Why are you rubbing that in my face? I didn't appreciate
You're
that at
not the
all.
only one, and even as somebody who like I've moved on psychologically already.
Yeah.
Like I understand. Like that was probably not a good move. It's fine. I know they said they want to show this team's transition. Show the building up. You don't show the tearing down. You know, like that's how you do. You don't focus on the negative. You focus on the hey, here's us planning. Here's the new helmets. Everyone loves the new helmets. You know, on social media. So focus on the good.
Yeah.
Ignore the controversial negative, you know, sad part.
So this isn't my opinion that I'm giving. I'm just simply playing devil's advocate here. They did say they're trying to be the most transparent and they're trying to give the most transparent process that they can to the fan base and to everybody online. So the bad is going to be in there, like the sentimental or internally, like that bad is going to be in there. I feel like
I
that
guess
part is my opinion, but the transparent part is like I don't do you really want to fault them for showing that part?
I mean, look. I mean, they can show what they want, and I'll move on. I'm fine.
Right.
I'm not gonna go do anything crazy. I just took it as a bit of a middle finger, to be honest. I would rather, show me building up. Like I kind of, like Alex said, I don't need to see the name Redskins torn down and HTTR. That means a lot to me. It really
right,
does.
right. Seeing that ripped off
And
the
I
wall,
didn't-
I get why people are
I didn't
upset by
much
that.
appreciate that in any way.
Yeah, I understand why people are upset.
Yeah.
I was just talking about the transparency part. That's all.
But
Yeah.
but the one thing that is true is Julie Donaldson has made a huge difference immediately.
She's been a good breath of fresh air, and now the training camp thing they're doing every morning at 9, and I think they do one called
haven't
Happy
seen
Hour
any
at
of it
2:30.
yet.
I've watched
seen it.
I've watched most of them for the past week because I think they've done 5 days now. I like that they're doing it. Personally, I would like Julie and Santana are nice, but I just want to see video camp. I really don't need to hear you guys talking. Like I'm nerdy enough where I can.
I would like to hear Santana talking.
Okay, that's fair.
When it comes to offense or receivers.
Dude, if you want to hear Tana talk, I'm pretty sure you still have his number in your cell phone or something.
Yeah, I do, but still.
Yeah.
It's just,
But yeah,
you want to see
Tana
the
needs
action.
to be more involved in
Yeah.
the team, generally speaking.
Well,
I think
I don't know if
Yeah,
he
I
can be unless he's a coach at this point. Like he's basically just got a tent set up in the woods behind the park because he's helping players all the time. He's apparently now doing TV. Like, what else do you want Santana to do?
Yeah, Tanner's hustling. He's doing
Yeah.
his thing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, point is, I kind of get what Alex is saying. I think what our writer Tampa was saying was that just show us like raw training camp feed,
Right.
And there's a place for that. They could do both. They could have Julie Donaldson and Santana and whoever else do kind of an analysis show. That's cool. I haven't watched it, but not because I don't want to. But I'd also would like to see just, some flat out training camp, raw
Yeah.
footage. I think all of it would be interesting.
Well, I think
I'm gonna put my hat in the ring
Mhm.
for sideline during the games to do what Clinton was doing.
to do what Clinton wasn't Doc doing it for a while too.
Yeah,
There's probably going to be an
because if he
opening
can
here.
do it, I'm pretty sure I could do it.
Rob,
Yeah,
I loved Clinton as a player. He couldn't do it. He was
Clinton had 6 years to improve, and he looked the same in year 6 than he did in year 1. It
Yeah.
was incredible.
Well, I don't want to
I know you
berated.
ain't. Yeah, you ain't.
But,
I'll say it. You ain't got to worry about it. You ain't got to get yourself in
Yeah.
trouble.
Hey, Kenny and
I'll
Joe,
say
how
it.
are you? That was his intro every time.
Clinton Portis never struck me as the sharpest knife in the drawer. I don't know him at all.
Great
We
running
never
back.
interviewed him, but
Yes.
he never struck me as the sharpest knife in the drawer.
I'm sure he was a fun teammate to have around back in the day.
I don't know. We have a
It's
guy who
probably.
was his
I think it's
teammate.
just
Ask him.
It's the interviewing skills. He's probably a cool person. Like when you just talk to him, just the interviewing thing was just it was just awkward. That's all it was.
I've heard some off the field stories about him, not from Rob or anybody on the team. People who like lived in his building at an apartment building, and let's just say they were interesting stories.
yeah, CP is an interesting person.
Yeah.
Definitely full of life and has no qualms about giving you what's on his mind in the moment. So
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily work as a sideline guy.
I'll tell you what, my prediction about the criminal case came through, and what I said on It's Just Business was that there were more charges to come because I started doing the math of what they charged versus the amount of money that the federal prosecutor said was involved, and it didn't add up. And sure enough, superseding indictment a couple weeks ago. So now they've got more charges.
Yeah, that doesn't
CP,
look
if
good
you're
for him.
listening, plead it out now, because otherwise you're going to spend years in prison. So
Yeah, I
but
think
one
that's
thing's for sure is he's not going to be back on the sidelines this year. That's for sure.
no. He won't be on the sidelines, and if he pleads out, I'm guessing he's looking at some serious.
So Redskins, you have
Yeah.
a volunteer, Rob Henson, right here, ready to do it.
hey,
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah,
Some people say I look like CP too. So
people might not even notice.
Just dress up as Sheriff Gonna Get You or whatever. Wasn't that what it was?
Hey, I bet you, with how they've been on social media, you could probably friggin' just DM Julia Donaldson or Tana or whoever and get in there at this point.
Maybe,
They're
yeah.
being so open
Not bad.
about this stuff. You could probably make it happen with just a message or two.
yeah, I would just have to have the weekends off. I'd
Yeah.
be good.
Well,
Well, I say,
we know how that is
Rob-
for you
Rob
these
gotta
days.
Ask for some stipulations. Like y'all gotta fly me out every so and so day, expenses paid, and you gotta make sure
that's
that
a given.
you gotta make sure that the bosses know that I'm not working on this date. You gotta tell them because I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Hey-
unfiltered. I'm looking forward to it. Other teams do this, kind of thing. This is not the first. I think Rob's point about Larry Michael is probably true. The man's a dinosaur.
Mhm.
He was clearly more interested in looking at interns than he was actually doing the right thing in terms of media presence and all that. They also have a new person doing their social media.
Yeah,
her name is
Kevin
escaping.
or something like that. I can't
I
remember.
can't remember her name.
It's
but-
Stasia or something like that.
Yeah,
I
something
need
like
to
that.
keep getting her name.
I
Yeah.
think they've got a whole new group in there.
Yeah, doing much better.
Yeah, they're doing a good job, and I think that does start at the top. I didn't realize that Donaldson was already confirmed to be doing the play-by-play on the radio too.
Like, let me look it up. 'Cause I don't want.
Well, the other thing is it's also much better when you don't have to see every single post gets thousands of Fire Bruce Allen, Fire Bruce Allen, Fire Bruce Allen.
That's true. That helps.
Yeah.
Yes, that does make life a little bit easier.
I didn't know Julie was doing the play-by-play either. Is that confirmed?
Yeah. When she did like an interview, they said she's going to be the first woman to do play-by-play in the NFL's radio booth or whatever.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
I'm excited to see what's going forward. And that's just to kind of tie it to the last topic. This team is not playing anymore.
No,
You
they
know,
really aren't.
It's a new era, and if you cause problems, or if there's things that cause problems, it's just going to be gone.
Right.
Gone.
Okay.
And
And-
that's why I said Reuben Foster is clearly turned a corner,
Mhm.
because otherwise they wouldn't put up with him either. He would have been gone too. And instead they're praising him, so that's good.
Yeah.
Good
So
for him.
let's move on to this topic's going to be quick, I feel like, and that is a lawsuit by Dan Snyder that I actually agree with that we just heard about, and that is that Dan Snyder is suing a entertainment company, web company called Media Entertainment Art Worldwide, and the reason he's suing them, when that whole rumor mill thing was going on about what's this big story about the Redskins, they went out and just claimed that he was involved with sex trafficking with Jeffrey Epstein on their website. Which,
What?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember seeing that.
So Dan is suing them for $10 million. I don't think it's about the money. I think it's about you don't do that. And
Yeah, it is. Look, this case was apparently filed Friday. I spent some hogside dollars hunting around trying to find the petition. Couldn't find it because it's just too new.
Right.
But this is going to be a defamation suit. It's going to say um, this website. What's the name of the website?
MEAWW. Just call it that.
Okay,
Meow.
whatever that
Yeah.
is, has defamed and committed
Libel.
libel
Yeah.
against the Redskins or the Washington team and or Dan Snyder. I don't even know who the parties are. Again, couldn't find the petition. But this is sending a message is what
Right.
this is. And it's also, by the way, who's really doing it, who's feeding you this information, because they didn't just make it up. They might not have confirmed their sources,
Right.
because it's complete BS, but somebody's feeding them this, and this is also probably Dan's way of uncovering who that is. So we'll have more than that. Again, at some point I'll be able to get the petition and read it. I just couldn't get it before we recorded.
Look, I mean, I think it's fair to say that of all of us, I've probably gotten close to the line of saying things you shouldn't say a couple times.
Some things that we had to order you to take down.
Right. That's what I mean. But
that drunk tangent was Hall of Fame worthy.
Yes, but even then, I never would have accused him of something like that, or Dan or anybody. Like, there's lines you can't cross. You can be mad at people, which is what happened when I did that way back when, and wish horrible things on them, but you can't say they're doing XYZ crimes and that makes them, you know.
So Alex texted me in the middle of a game that they were getting crushed.
Yeah,
and said, I want to do a halftime thing, and I was like, "Wait, we're gonna do the show in 2 hours."
I was really drunk and I said some things I shouldn't have said.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I didn't know what he was talking about until I realized what he meant.
And then you listened to it and you told me to take it down like 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that was not good on my part. I admit that.
And it's okay. We all we all run into those mishaps. But
yep.
it was entertaining. It was entertaining. But I ain't gonna lie to you. When I first saw it, I still feel that way right now. When I first saw it, my first reaction is oh, okay. My first reaction was more so like we need this to happen. Like when people make this type of accusation against you and in one of the worst ways possible, associating your name with a vilified individual for all the rightly so. Go and make sure that your name is clear, and that's by making sure that these people pay in some type of way. So if somebody defames you to that degree, put it out there like this ain't you, and you're not gonna just go out there and think that you can say something without penalty. And that's one of the things that like in general, not just even Dan, but just in general, I stand for. If somebody defame me like that to that degree, in serious accusations, is worth if you got it. It's worth going out there and clearing your name.
I think you said something heavy right there, in the fact that if you got it, because I've been through this situation with my ex-wife, saying that I abused her in some sort of way or any kind of way, and there was absolutely nothing that I could do about it because you don't have the funds to do it. But we know that's not Dan's situation. So it is good. It's good that he fought back on that situation. And like you said, if anything, you cost them, the people who saying it, you cost them some money out of their pocket for just throwing out, poop and hoping it stick to the wall. So.
Well, and Dan's not going to recover a dime from this, okay? Because even if he gets a judgment against these people, this is some cheapo, website out there. They're just going to put themselves into bankruptcy. The judgment is going to be worth nothing. So, and Dan knows this, or at least Dan's lawyers know this. So, it's not really about the money; it's about the principle. And Dan may be. He might be an arrogant, conceited dude and, nobody you want to have dinner with or whatever, possibly. But I feel for him when you have these kind of allegations, thrown against you. It's totally inappropriate. The people who did it should be ashamed of themselves. And all they're trying to do is generate callously and illegally get attention for themselves. And I hope he wins and puts them into bankruptcy.
This type of thing is everywhere. This is social media in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
I was gonna say I don't forget, like before the story came out, like people was legitimately entertaining this. Like they were really entertaining this, and I couldn't believe it. Like there were some things that we knew. I can't say we knew, but you had to question. Like there was a high possibility of it being fake. Like y'all are reaching, y'all are looking for something, and it's probably nothing to this degree. This was one of them. So I don't
Yeah.
understand how people were really entertaining this.
Well, and I guess we should explain this more. What this happened in conjunction with the Washington Post story. Around the time a couple weeks ago, the Washington Post story came out, there were all sorts of crazy things floating around Facebook, and Facebook turned into Twitter and everything else, saying that Dan was sex trafficking and all sorts of just awful things that were clearly just total garbage. With no foundation in fact whatsoever. There were no witnesses, nobody on the record. What the Washington Post did was do a story in which they had women go on the record and talk about their experiences. That's a whole other thing than some cheap ass website, putting garbage out with no basis in reality whatsoever.
So these are the magazines when you check out at the grocery store, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, and even then, though, those people are used to being sued, and they have lawyers who do this. They have some standards. Like the National Enquirer has some standards. This is some website that I've never heard of it. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. I've never heard of it. And so, just to explain, I don't want to turn this into a legal lecture, but like a regular person like Jamal and I, filing a defamation suit, the standard of proof is a lot lower. But for a public figure, like Rob, you were a public figure at one time, and Dan Snyder is definitely a public figure, the standard of proof is a lot higher, and it's a harder case to make, and he knows that. So this is truly just something is so egregious and outrageous that, and I know I'm not going to recover a dime from these people ultimately. This is just about doing the right thing and defending himself in public in the only way he knows how. And if he can smoke out somebody like at the park or somebody who's telling lies about him, I don't blame him for that either.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, the poll.
We got a poll, right? Yep.
Yeah, we do have a poll. And had we known that the Redskin universe was going to blow up in the last 2 days of the week, we probably would have done a different poll. But since we have it, we got to do it, right? So the poll this week was about Alex Smith. And the poll question was, since Alex Smith is close to being fully healthy, Washington will have to make a decision about him. What do you think the team should do? Now, we talked about this a little on last week's show. Jamal did not get a chance to say his opinion, so we'll let that happen. But in terms of the fans and the poll, the options were let him compete for QB1, make him compete for QB2 only, trade him if possible, or figure out a reason to put him on the PUP list for the year. So those are the poll options. Jamal, since you weren't here last week, let's start with you. What do you think about Alex Smith, and how do you think the fans voted in the poll question?
All right, I'll give my thoughts on Alex Smith, but I am going to need you to repeat that poll question afterwards. Hold on 1 second. Okay. But my opinion on Alex Smith, I think it's a story more than anything. I'm happy for him because obviously nobody can really account for the type of work that he put in. We're not going to be able to see it. I mean, we got a glimpse into his life with the ESPN story, and like that in itself just tells you like how much he really wanted it in terms of just coming back and being himself. And nobody can take that away from him. He got cleared by his doctors to resume football activities. And that's a significant moral victory right then and there, and I can only imagine how he feels. Like that's everybody loves a comeback story. I'm one that truly loves them. In terms of Alex specifically as it relates to the team, I don't think it means anything right now. He still has a couple hurdles to go. We understand that there was a report by J.P. Finley who stated he had 4 straight practices where or 4 straight workouts where he looked good. To what degree good is defined by the guy, I don't know, but good is good, I guess. So I mean, good is all right for their standards. So Alex has looked good recently, but at the same time, you still have to get cleared to resume football activities by the team and actually be able to throw the football in live contact or live situations. And I don't think, I mean, even if it does happen, I don't think that they will risk putting him out there. I don't think that he would truly unless he looks light years better than Dwayne, I don't think he's truly threatening anybody for a QB1 or QB2's position on this team. So as it relates to the team itself, I don't think it's anything to even really discussing. I don't blame the fans for getting concerned because Haskins is just he's young and he's trying to work his way somewhere, but at the same time, this is just a situation where we're talking about an individual making an individual trying to break his individual mental hurdles and get his accomplishments out the way, and that's where we are with Alex. I'm not really concerned about the football stuff.
What do you think the fans voted for in the poll?
And can we hear the poll question?
The question was, Alex Smith is close to being fully healthy. Washington will have to make a decision about him. What do you think the team should do? And the responses were: let him compete for QB1, let him compete for QB2 only, trade him if possible, or figure out a way to put him on the PUP list for the rest of the year.
Okay, so shoot, those options. All right, so I think the fans voted for let him compete for QB2 only. I think that's what the fans did. And I don't want to say like find a way to put him on the PUP list, but it's like I don't know.
They could figure out a way if they wanted.
Yeah. All right. I'll just go with D. D personally.
All right, Rob. What do you think about the poll?
I think the fans voted to let him compete for QB1 because he does have a huge following, and this fan base, I would say a good portion of this fan base does not like Dwayne Haskins or does not believe in Dwayne Haskins. They were disappointed when we drafted him and disappointed with him all the year last year. So I'm going to say that they want him to compete for QB1.
Okay. The answer was it was a tie, which I don't think we've ever had a tie on these polls as long as we've been doing them. This week was a tie between compete for QB1 and compete for QB2.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, 26% right on the nose, exactly both. Third place was the PUP list at 25%, and 23% said trade.
It's really close.
Yeah, very close. For me, I would have voted for compete for QB2 only. I personally believe in Haskins. I always liked him. And listen, I mean, if you could put on a clinic on how not to handle a rookie quarterback, Dwayne Haskins is your subject. He really had tough circumstances last year, and he deserves a shot to be the undisputed starter. And if it were me, I was Ron Rivera, I'd sit Alex down and go, look, I admire everything you've done, but the simple fact of the matter is Dwayne Haskins is the starter here until he gets hurt. That's what I would do. We'll do a couple. We're running out of time here. We'll do a couple comments here. We haven't read Dave's comments in a while. He comments every week. Dave said QB1 is Haskins' job to lose. So realistic expectation is QB2 competition. That's Dave's opinion. Whoa. Gary Rose, who's at Bar TO Cattle Co., says trade him if possible. I'd love to keep him as part of the organization in some form, but if he truly wants to play, he needs to be traded. That's Gary. On the other hand, here's LJ, and this might be a woman because it's LEELLE. So we always read the comments from the women. He or she said nothing wrong with competition. Let the best man play. I get it. That's his opinion. And the last one here, Ernie, who is at EC L326, said, I don't care what those doctors said. In my opinion, he needs another year to get himself together. The way that leg looked after that injury, no. Plus, we need Dwayne to give Dwayne the opportunity to play in the NFL. So that's kind of the tone of the comments. My feeling hadn't changed at all from last week. Rob, do you feeling differently this week about Alex?
No, I don't. Between the ears is going to be Alex's problem. You can't. That's such a horrific injury that you cannot not have PTSD after that.
Yeah, well, and he rehabbed at a military rehab center, at Walter Reed with a bunch of guys who do have PTSD. So he's probably that's probably been addressed, with him. So that was the poll. Guys, I think we're at the end of the hour. Alex had to dip out early, which is why you haven't heard Alex. Anybody have any final thoughts before we sign off for the week?
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am like we're in August. I'm really excited for football. I just pray. Even if it's for a few weeks, I don't know what's gonna happen. I can't predict the future, but by God, like I'm excited because I need football in my life. I can't even play flag football right now. Like they refuse to bring the league back, and it's completely fine with me. I'm just frustrated, but I need to see some type of football. And I'm just looking forward to the season. I'm counting down the days. I don't even need preseason as long as we get a few games. Hopefully we get a full season. Hopefully we get the playoffs. Hopefully we get the Super Bowl. But I'm just excited. So I'm looking forward to the video. Oh, we talked to I talked to the guy
Who?
The person that we contact with the Redskins.
Sean.
Sean. All right, yeah, I talked to Sean and he said that they are looking forward. They are looking at a way to try and bring the content out for the training camp videos. So we should be able to see something. But yeah, I'm excited, man.
Outstanding. All right, Rob, do you have any final thoughts or no?
If this country don't have football, it's gonna go insane, and I'm pleading with the league to do some kind of a bubble situation. I know it's probably too late, but if we get halfway through the season and this thing spikes and you have to pull the plug, people are going to be pissed because you didn't prepare properly.
To me, what bubble means in this context is make sure these young single guys stay out of the strip clubs and the bars. If you can do that alone, it'll be okay. Look at what the Miami Marlins did. A bunch of went to a strip club. What happened? The whole team got shut down. So let's not have that happen in NFL. And the Ron Riveras of the world need to put their foot down and say, look, you guys are young. You have money. Don't screw it up. Stay out of the bars. Stay out of the strip clubs, and we'll be fine. Okay, guys.
Make sure he talks to the defense, too, because if Jack Del Rio gets, if he makes his presence or his opinions known, then.
Yeah, Jack Del Rio has stirred some trouble up on Twitter, and I think all athletes need to stay the hell off Twitter. If you ask me, yeah. So all right, well we're gonna call this the end of the show. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we will be back next week with another episode.
Peace.
Later.